day 14 of 30, the return. You do not become someone new. You become recognizable to yourself again. 30 days for the rest of your life. Day 14. It is going to come fast. Someone will look at you and say, "You sound like the old you." Someone else. "You look different." Maybe they ask if you changed your hair. Maybe they tell you your eyes look different. Maybe they cannot explain it at all. They just feel something. So do you. There is a point where healing stops feeling like work and starts feeling like recognition. You are no longer asking, "What is wrong with me?" You are no longer desperate to get something off your chest. You are no longer digging endlessly through yesterday for one more explanation. Something changes. The internal conversation becomes, "I need to go back into the world." Not to prove anything to them, to prove something to yourself, that everything you said you were becoming was real, that you can live it, that you can be it, not for applause, not for validation, for you and for God. That is the return. Authenticity has a signal. We all seem to recognize authenticity before we can explain it. You feel it in yourself. You feel it in other people. The person is not performing. Their words, behavior, values, and energy point in the same direction. There is alignment. You do not need to label it. You do not need a group discussion to determine whether it exists. It is. Authenticity burns like sunlight, quietly, constantly, without asking permission, and it is contagious. Someone who is comfortable being themselves gives everyone around them permission to lower their own mask. That is why genuine confidence is attractive, not arrogance, not volume, not domination, alignment. You are no longer spending half your energy maintaining a character. That energy returns to you, and people notice. From "I am alone" to "Where did everybody come from?" Remember the cave? There was a time when everything felt empty. I am alone. Nobody understands. Nobody is coming. Then something begins to change. One person shows up, then another, then another. 5, 10, 20. Not because some mystical force guaranteed that people would suddenly appear. Because when you stop hiding, isolating, chasing, performing, and radiating desperation, you become easier to know. You start going places again. You make the phone call. You take the meeting. You return to the hobby. You stand in the sunlight. You become available to life. The world did not necessarily change overnight. Your relationship with the world changed. And that changes what becomes possible. Call it attraction if you want. Call it social gravity. Call it confidence. Call it alignment. The label matters less than the observation. Light recognizes light. The little person stands up. For a long time, there may have been a smaller version of you hiding underneath everything, afraid, watching, waiting, trying not to get hurt again, trying not to fail, trying not to be abandoned, trying not to become another problem for everyone else. That person did what he needed to do. He kept you alive. Do not hate him for hiding. Thank him. Then tell him, "We can go now," because that little person is not little anymore. He is standing, then walking, then running, full size, up the mountain. The crowd that once felt like a jury begins to disappear. Some people remain critics. Let them. But now there are supporters too, real ones. People who have watched you fall and do not require you to pretend you never did. People who see the repaired cracks, gold and all. And as your confidence becomes evidence rather than affirmation, something important happens. You stop needing everyone. One real person is enough to begin. Then another, then another. Problems become problems again. When you are overwhelmed, every problem becomes existential. The bill is not a bill. It is proof your life is collapsing. The job problem is not a job problem. It is proof you are a failure. The relationship problem becomes proof you are unlovable. The paperwork becomes proof the universe is against you. Then clarity returns, and suddenly a bill becomes a bill. A form becomes a form. A job application becomes something I can submit today. A difficult conversation becomes a conversation, not magic. Perspective. The real you is back in the driver's seat. So problems that looked impossible start getting solved. One call, one email, one application, one decision, one breath, one step, again, again, again. This is what momentum feels like from inside. The return of the king. The king was never gone. He just stopped speaking. Something convinced him he did not deserve the throne. Failure, shame, fear, rejection, someone else's opinion, the shadow. So he handed the kingdom over to survival. Survival did its job, but survival is not supposed to rule forever. The mask cracked. We repaired it with gold. And now something different stands in front of the mirror. Not someone pretending the fracture never happened. Someone who knows exactly where the cracks are. Someone who knows what darkness feels like. Someone who knows how easy it is to disappear inside it. And someone who also knows darkness retreats when light enters the room. The king returned. But the truth is simpler. He was always there. Did your eyes change color? Maybe not literally. But people say things like that when they are seeing something they cannot easily name. Your face looks different. Your posture changes. Your eyes seem clearer. You hold eye contact differently. You are less tense, less guarded, more present. Black gives way to white, yang to yin, fire to water, darkness to light, not because one side disappears. Day 8 already taught us better than that. Superposition. The darkness still exists. So does the fire. So does the fear. But now it is integrated. It is no longer running the system. The light was always there. You just had to turn around. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. That is the red pill. Not secret knowledge. Not believing you discovered something nobody else can see. Something much more grounded. You saw your own pattern. And now you cannot pretend you did not. You saw how fear controlled you. You saw how resentment poisoned you. You saw how avoidance compounded pain. You saw how isolation destroyed the value of your village. You saw how control pretended to be peace. You saw how the shadow used yesterday to control tomorrow. Once observed, the pattern changes. You can still repeat it. But now you know. That is accountability. That is consciousness. That is the update. There is no going back to innocence, only forward into responsibility. The system fights the update. Any system resists change. The body does, the mind does, families do, organizations do, relationships do. You change one part, and everything around it has to adjust. At first, the system does not know what to do with the new behavior. You stop reacting. People wait for the old reaction. You set a boundary. The old dynamic pushes against it. You stop apologizing for existing. Someone who benefited from that apology notices. You become quieter. The person accustomed to your chaos may misread your peace. That does not mean everyone is attacking you. It means change produces friction. Alarm, heat, resistance, adjustment, then adaptation. The key is to remain aligned long enough for the new system to stabilize. Sleep, eat, train, pray, breathe, listen, accept correction, stay honest, keep walking. Then the update becomes normal. From tourniquet to recovery. Survival tools are extraordinary, but they have limits. A tourniquet can save a life. Leave it on forever, and the thing that saved you becomes dangerous. The same is true psychologically. Hypervigilance may have protected you once. It cannot become your permanent operating system. Isolation may have prevented more pain. It cannot become your home. Anger may have given you enough energy to survive. It cannot become your personality. Control may have created order during chaos. It cannot become the condition required for peace. The intervention that stops the bleed is not the same intervention that restores the limb. Eventually, you need prolonged care, movement, blood flow, rehabilitation, trust, time, love. That is what these 14 days have been. Not pretending the injury never occurred. Moving from emergency medicine into recovery. The infrastructure changes. At first, you are patching behavior. Breathe before reacting. Call instead of isolating. Rest instead of overtraining. Go to the beach instead of sitting inside the cave. Tell the truth instead of performing. Small patches. Then something deeper happens. The patches start connecting. You realize they are not separate skills. They are one system. Self-awareness, self-control, faith, connection, responsibility, love. Now the infrastructure changes. The update is no longer, I am trying to be calmer. It becomes, I am calm enough to choose. Not, I am trying to stop blaming people. It becomes, I own what belongs to me. Not, I am trying to be authentic. It becomes, this is who I am. The distinction is enormous. One is effort. The other is identity. The return starts showing up everywhere. Then life begins producing evidence. You pick the hobby back up. The person you have not spoken to in years calls. You call them. You reconnect. The job appears that actually interests you. You submit the application you would have talked yourself out of before. You go somewhere you enjoy. You meet people. The dog comes running when you walk through the door. You pray in the morning, then again that night. Then realize prayer is no longer the emergency phone call you make only when life hurts. It is gratitude, relationship, alignment. Maybe the right person comes into your life. Maybe someone returns. Maybe neither happens yet. Either way, you are no longer sitting at the window waiting for another person to prove that you have become whole. That is the breakthrough. You stopped requiring the blessing to arrive in one predetermined form. So now you can recognize it when it comes. You stop fearing the storm. The clouds return. Because they will. You do not panic. You sit on the porch. You watch rain, thunder, wind. You respect it. But you no longer confuse weather with destiny. You already know what comes after storms. The air changes, the earth drinks, the temperature drops. Everything smells different. Then morning comes, and sometimes the most beautiful sunrise of the year follows the ugliest night. The earth knows how to recover. So do you. The earth heals like we do. Fire burns a forest. At first, it looks like destruction. Black ground, dead branches. Silence. Then something green appears. Tiny. Almost ridiculous against the scale of what burned. Then another. Roots that survived underground begin sending life upward. Seeds open. Animals return. The ecosystem reorganizes. Not back into exactly what existed before. Forward into something alive again. That is healing. Not returning to the person you were before the fire. Returning to the essence that survived it. Then growing from there. That is why you sound like the old you is only partially true. They recognize something. The humor, the confidence, the presence, the eyes. But you are not the old you. The old you had not walked through this fire. The old you had not met the shadow. The old you had not learned to breathe inside the storm. The old you had not repaired the cracks with gold. You are something else now. The authentic you with experience integrated. The return is not regression. It is resurrection. Day 14, the message. You are going to notice it. Then other people will too. They will say, you sound different. You look different. You seem like yourself again. Smile, because you know what happened. You did not become somebody else. You stopped abandoning yourself. The feelings were spoken. The shadow was observed. The mask broke. The cracks were repaired. The breath returned. The faith grew. The cave moved farther behind you. And now there is something inside you that wants to participate in life again. Listen to it. Go outside. Call someone. Take the opportunity. Pick up the hobby. Go to the beach. Pray. Laugh. Build. Love. You do not need another excavation today. You need life. 30 days for the rest of your life. Day 1, gratitude. Notice what remains. Day 2, just like you. You are not uniquely broken. Day 3, dogs. Notice who needs you. Day 4, who's there when the music stops. Notice who stands in the rain. Day 5, mistake. Stop waiting for someone else to tell you you're okay. Day 6, sit with it. Stop running from what you already know. Day 7, just breathe. Get to the next breath. Day 8, superposition. Observe the whole person, then choose who drives. Day 9, the called walk through fire. Stay on the path. Day 10, rest is best. Learn when not to move. Day 11, the beach. Remember where you feel like you. Day 12, go right. Stop outsourcing your direction to the crowd. Day 13, be it. Become the evidence. Day 14, the return. Stop searching for yourself and start living as yourself. At first, the light hurt. Then your eyes adjusted. At first, the system resisted. Then it adapted. At first, you had to remind yourself to breathe. Now you just breathe. At first, you needed to say, I am going to become this person. Now, you simply are. The old survival system kept you alive. Thank it. Then retire it. The emergency is over. Move into recovery. Move into growth. Move into life. The storm will come again. Good. You know what storms are now. Sit on the porch. Listen to the rain. Breathe. Because tomorrow morning the sun will rise whether you are ready or not. And this time, you are ready. The light was never created during these 14 days. It was there the entire time. Buried, protected, waiting. You just finally turned around. And once you see it, once you feel it, once you recognize the real person underneath everything you thought you had to be, you cannot unsee them. You cannot unknow them. You cannot honestly return to believing the cave was the whole universe. The king did not arrive. The king returned. The soul did not suddenly become light. The darkness simply stopped hiding it. Welcome back. ICT. The real war is within. Ideas are bulletproof.